solve the questions for zoology. Similar to botany, this section also had some of the very direct questions from the section on genetics and biotechnology. So extremely important. Let's begin with the first question, which talks about Dobson unit. This we have covered in NCERT class 12 chapter 16, which is environmental issues, where we have talked about ozone depletion. So thickness of this ozone layer, which is present in the stratosphere, and in the stratosphere it is considered as good, in troposphere it is considered as bad. So this ozone is measured using the Dobson unit, or what is also called as DU. Towards the end of this lecture, we would talk about one very important mnemonic, and that's extremely important, one question for sure every time. The next is a question from the respiratory system, the partial pressure of oxygen and carbon dioxide at the alveoli, which is the site of diffusion. So it's 104 for oxygen and 40 for carbon dioxide. Again, a very direct question based on just the knowledge. Under class 11 biology chapter 16 digestive system, we have covered sphincter of Oddi and another question on Succus Entericus. So sphincter of Oddi, where it is, sphincter, it just allows a movement and then closes. So it allows a unidirectional movement, we can say. So it's located at the junction of the hepatopancreatic duct and duodenum. So it joins the intestine, the small intestine. Now here is where we have 3 as the right option. And then Succus entericus, what it is also known as the intestinal juice. So the mucosa, which is the borders of the intestine, get this intestinal juice, which is the Succus entericus, and the secretions are released directly. The next is, in the class on botany, we have already talked about various stages of mitosis and meiosis. In this, there is a question about the stage of meiosis, prophase. Now this talks about prophase 1, where we have terminalization of the chiasma which occurs. So chiasma terminalization occurs in the phase of diakinesis, a very important question. We have covered what occurs where in this lecture in detail, so just cover it. Extremely important, I repeat again. From the similar lecture, we had another question in botany as well. The next is, based on the Chargaff's principle, we have the base pairs, and adenosine relates to thymine and guanine relates to cytosine. So if adenine is 30%, thymine would be again 30%. So the nitrogen base pair would be equal. So if adenine is 30%, thymine would be 30%. Now 30, 30, 60 gone, 40 remains. So again, you would have 20, 20 in the remaining. So cytosine and guanine would have 20 and 20. So thymine 30, cytosine 20, cytosine 20 and guanine 20. So 4 becomes the right option here. The next question is, we have a cross between male and female heterozygous for sickle cell anemia. Both of them have a gene for sickle cell anemia. So let me say this is the male, okay, having a gene for sickle cell, and this is the female having the gene for sickle cell. Now I cross them. Okay, so we have, okay, so these are the 4 possible crosses. So it would be A and A as one of those, A and S, which is one sickle cell gene in both the cases, but this is a recessive gene. But there would be one instance where both of them would have the gene from sickle cell, and therefore the progeny would be diseased. In this case, we call this as 25% chances. Why? Because out of the 4 options, one of them, so 1 out of 4 into 100, which is 25%. So there is 25% chance that the progeny would be diseased. The next question is again on PCR. In the polymerase chain reaction, we talked about the 3 stages in the section on botany. We have already covered it. In the video, we have already covered it. So it is denaturation, annealing, and extension. Now, here the question says, in the process of gene amplification in the PCR, very high temperature is not maintained in the beginning. Then, what would be affected first? Denaturation would be affected, which is the first stage definitely. So, if the high temperatures are not maintained, denaturation would be affected, which is the most initial stage or the initial process. The next question talks about biofortification. Biofortification means making the content rich with nutrients, vitamins, minerals, protein, whatsoever, just increasing the the quantity, the quality, okay, or the nutritional supplement, we could say. So 1, 2 and 4 are the right options, but it does not talk about anything relating to increasing the resistance to the diseases. So 3 is the incorrect option here. The next question is a very interesting question. Fruit fly has 8 chromosomes. Now in the interphase of mitosis, the number of chromosomes at G1 phase is 8. What would be the chromosomes after S phase? Now it starts with the interphase until metaphase. It would remain the same number of chromosomes. So then therefore from the G1 phase where you have 8 chromosomes, S phase would also have the 8 chromosomes. So 8 would remain the right answer. Okay. So this would have the same number of chromosomes. The next is a very important question. A person goes to high altitude and witnesses symptoms like facing difficulty in breathing, palpitations of heart. We call this as altitude sickness. Very correct. Why does this occur? As you move high, the atmospheric pressure reduces and therefore enough oxygen is not available, and therefore we also say your face becomes red. Why? Because you are trying to get more oxygen in, and therefore this is again a correct statement. The reason is the correct explanation for assertion. So here we say both reason and assertion are true, and reason is the correct explanation for assertion. Note that this option is not always the first option. It could be any option in the sequence. So make sure you're not confused there. So 2 is the right option here. The another question that we discussed today is based on the species and its scientific name. So amoebiasis is caused by Entamoeba histolytica, very common question. Filariasis by Wucheria bancrofti. Pneumonia leads to influenza, so caused by Haemophilus influenzae, and ringworm caused by Trichophoidon. So those are the correct matches. Very direct questions. Every time one question like this is asked, so all you need to know is to know and remember. Now we have the various codon pairs. Now note, these codon pairs are extremely important. Where you are talking about DNA, you would use thiamine, so you would call it as T. Where you are talking about RNA, you would use U for uracil. So here we are focusing on RNA. Now AUG or ATG is one of the same thing, and this is the codon for methionine. Methionine and tryptophan are the only two which have a single codon. Okay, so methionine has ATG and tryptophan has TGG. So both of them have just one. Okay, all others have either 2 or more. For example, lysine has 2. Okay, asparagine has again 2. Glutamine again has 2, and so on and so forth. So methionine has ATG and the tryptophan has TGG. So tryptophan has TGG. Okay, so this is not related to phenylalanine, so it's incorrect. Now AAA and AAG belong to lysine. That is correct, as you can see here. So 2 of them, AA and AAG, belong to lysine. So again correct. So here the first statement is incorrect and the second statement is correct. So this is the right option. The first statement is incorrect, the second is correct. Now note, when you have question like this, what is important? This question is very similar to the assertion reason problem, but the only difference is we are not saying that statement explains the statement 2 explains the statement 1 or not. Again, there were some rumors that assertion reason questions are out of syllabus. It's not like that. We have already seen one of the questions from assertion reason. There can be future more questions from assertion reason. Now of the 20 amino acids, we have 9 amino acids which we say are essential amino acids. What do we mean by that? We mean that these amino acids are required from food sources outside. These cannot be produced in the body. So how do we remember these 9 names? Now all these 9 names were part of this list. So we have lysine here, we have phenylalanine here, so on and so forth. But how do we remember it? So we have very simple mnemonic. The mnemonic is phenylale, his is RZ, 3TV may. Okay, so pheny, that is phenylalanine, lele, which is leucine and lysine, his is histidine and isoleucine, RZ, leave it, 3 threonine, TV. So T for tryptophan and V for valine. Me, so that is methionine. So that's how you remember the 9 amino acids. So that was just a quick mnemonic. More mnemonics like these are important because when you have a lot to memorize and remember, sometimes these quick mnemonics actually help you in remembering the concept and getting through, because these amino acids, either through the codon series or through directly which of those are essential or non-essential amino acids, this is an important question often asked in nearly most of the zoology papers. So cover this section carefully, and we will be covering many sections for you in the upcoming lectures. Stay subscribed, stay tuned. Have a wonderful day ahead.